Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddy Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we speak to interesting people all about their interesting money stories. I am joined today by the wonderful Rachel Weaven, who basically does HR for nice people. No arseholes, basically. That's what we know. Rachel is also a neurodiversity in the workplace trainer, as am I, and Rachel and I are going to be doing some stuff together, which is very exciting. But basically, we are helping people to look after their people, which improves not only businesses' money stories, but also the people that work for them as well. So we might not focus too much today on Rachel's actual money story, because of the fact that, like, actually, we're talking a bit more today about neurodiversity and how it kind of impacts people. So, Rachel, tell me a little bit about you and what you do.
A little bit about me, Well, you've covered it quite nicely, Maddie, to be honest. But yeah, so I've been in HR about 20 years now.
Showing your age there, Rach.
I know, right? I probably should have said that. Internal for most of it, but the last sort of 3.5 years, I've sort of gone out on my own. And yeah, with a view of wanting to do HR for people that don't have the capacity for an in-house me, but
Yeah.
obviously still have employees, so they still get those scenarios come up. But I like to work on a more proactive approach because, let's be honest, nobody really likes the negative stuff, do they?
No, I mean,
No.
oh, yeah, I mean, I worked in the HR world before I became self-employed. And I had to sit in on people's disciplinaries and things like that. It was just like, oh no, like it's just not fun, is it?
It's not, no, and I think it's one of those things you kind of go, I think I went into HR with a little bit of naivety because I didn't really know about much about it. And I went in sort of doing things like payroll to start with and recruitment, which is all relatively straightforward. Disciplinaries, I'm kind of in the view of, well, if you're in a disciplinary hearing, it's 9 times out of 10, it's because you've done something wrong. But things like grievances and dealing with people on long-term sickness, redundancies, all that sort of stuff, real impact on me because I'm a people person, so I want to make sure
Yeah.
people are okay, and you're watching people go through this process, and it's really hard.
I would imagine it from a mental health perspective that working in HR is actually a very, very, very difficult job because you are there for, really HR people have to be there for the business because they're the people who are paying them, they're the people who you're supposed to be supporting. But then you also have that duty of care to the employees, and that makes it a really, really tough decision on
It
whose side
does.
you pick, like.
Yeah, it does, absolutely. And I think I do find, I found when I'm internal, I definitely get stuck in the middle. And I think, now being external, I can work with people that want to look after their staff. So it does make
Yes.
the job so much better. But yeah, it can be really difficult, especially when you're sort of when you're a people person like me, you kind of get it both ways, and you kind of almost have to protect yourself to a certain extent because it can be really sort of draining
Yeah.
days. It can also be really rewarding. I used to like it that staff used to confide in me because I felt that I could then support them better in the workplace.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to have a real sort of connection, and people have to want to be able to trust you before they'll, confide in you and talk to you, and then you can kind of support them. When the business is going through things, you can kind of sort of play both parts. So that's how I've always operated, sort of in HR anyway.
That makes sense. So I ask everybody this question, and I think we're going to do this really, really quickly and kind of just have a little bit of an overview, because then we can talk more about neurodiversity in the workplace, because I think that's really important. And people listen to this podcast because they're neurodivergent, so I think that we can help them by talking a bit more
Awesome.
and growing a bit of awareness around it. So what's your money story, Rach?
So my money story, I mean, I think I come from a family, we've always been, okay money wise. There's never
Yeah.
been sort of, I've not, we've grown up, I've always had holidays, I've always been, I've always been able to sort of afford things. And, most of my jobs I've always kind of worked through. I think when I was younger, I always went for, oh, the next job, more money, next job, more money, and da da da, until I sort of kind of got to a company where I realized actually it's my values that were more important, and the money was just sort of kind of like, well, actually yes, there's more money, but actually this is affecting me and the way I
Yeah.
being in my own business. It's about now I'm sort of at a stage where it's like I need to kind of replicate what I was earning internally, to get us back on the straight and narrow as a sort of as a household. So
Yeah.
it's been a tough couple of years, but and
How
it's sort of, yeah, sorry.
how was that transition going from being self-employed, being employed to being self-employed? And what was the thing that made you kind of make that switch?
It's terrifying. I think it's something I've always thought about, and it's something my husband always said, oh, you should go out on your own, you should go out on your own. But it's that whole HR is a massive topic.
Mm,
Going out completely on your own is quite a scary thought because there's so many different aspects to HR. And I've always sort of done it as a generalist role. So I've literally covered
yeah.
anything and everything to do with people. Um, my last company, I think that was what they, they were a nice company, but my values weren't. I didn't do HR the way they needed HR to be done. I was very much people focused, and they were quite process driven, and I was more coming in
Mm,
from a people thing. And in the end, being honest, it kind of broke me.
mm.
So I came away going, actually, I don't want to work in a big company. Actually, I didn't want to do HR altogether, if I'm honest, Maddy. I kind of went, nope, that's it, not doing it. And then realized I'm actually qualified not to do anything else. So, but yeah,
That's
so it was
hard.
kind of,
That's hard. And do you know
it
what?
is.
I did the same thing. So when I came out of my recruitment job, my first thing was like, oh, I'm going to set up a recruitment business because it's the only thing I knew how to do. I'd done recruitment for like 14 years.
Yeah.
Um, but then realized that actually I
That's
didn't
a
want,
tough role though, isn't it? Recruitment can be quite brutal.
especially when you've got ADHD and you don't know about it. Because like I was constantly like I was bullied in the workplace quite
Yeah.
badly. And I didn't realize it was because I was so bloody annoying. Like I would kind of get up, yeah, but it's true. I mean, the admin lady hated me because I couldn't do any of my own admin, so I was just pouring work on her the whole time. My rejection sensitivity dysphoria was through the roof because
Oh, that's
if a
horrible.
candidate went to a job interview and didn't get it, I would cry like it was my own
Oh,
job. And it was so cutthroat, and
yeah.
for there were certain elements of it that
Mm,
made me love the job. Like, when you placed a candidate and you got the commission, and it was all about the dopamine, and it was all about like
yeah.
people being like, yay, you're amazing. And I was like the top biller in the South Coast. So I was really good at it. And I had like 200 temps out at one point, and I was like the person who everybody was like, oh, Maddie's so amazing. But in the office, all of the people I worked with hated me because I was an oversharer, and I didn't fit in the environment. But
No.
I didn't know I had ADHD. Nobody else knew that I had it. And I remember once my manager giving me some feedback and me being really upset because he basically just told me that I was really crap at doing something. He was like, you need to not be so emotional about all these things and la la la.
That's
And
something you can just turn off, isn't
he was
it?
like, Maddie, you need to remember this. You need to like remember this phrase. I value your feedback. I'll take it on board and I'll grow. And I was like, no. And that's the problem. I think there are so many things when it comes to having a neurodivergent brain that
Mm,
feedback, you can't just dog shit sandwich something for somebody who's got
no.
ADHD because there's still that element of real negativity in the middle of it, and that's
Yeah.
the bit that we focus on.
And that's
Um,
really hard because I think you're seen as the disruptive employee, aren't you? Or you're seen as the one that doesn't shut
yeah,
up. And actually, it's just like there's so much more to it. And it's just, I mean, I hate the whole, oh, you're brilliant, but could you just improve with this? But yeah, you're brilliant kind of,
yeah,
because actually, and whilst I'm not ADHD, I've had that done to me, and that still massively impacts me because I'm an empath, because I'm a people person, because
yes,
I want to please. Do you know what I mean? So it's still that's a
absolutely,
massive.
yeah,
It's like could tell me 100 brilliant things about myself and one negative, but I will remember that one negative thing because that's where my brain goes, not the fact that everyone else is like, yeah, but you've really good, you've done this really well, and da da da. Yeah, but that person said, and it's really hard. So don't I think there is that element that people are, I think with ADHD, or if you're more sort of heart led, those sort of things you can't just go, yeah, okay, I'll take it on board
I
because it
think that,
has an
yeah,
impact on you because you care.
exactly. And the thing is, right, I mean, for those of you who are listening, Rachel and I met each other through our course that we did, neurodiversity in the workplace. So both Rach and I are trained neurodiversity specialists. We can help to train all of your staff on how to manage employees. We can help to bring awareness to your organization on how to support neurodivergent individuals. And it's all about the brain. It's all about individual people having different needs and how you can support those individual people. And Rach and I, we come as a double act a little bit as well, don't we? So we go into workplaces and we deliver seminars on how to support your neurodivergent people. And I went into the course because I have pretty much most of the neurodivergent conditions, plus some more random things that like come under it that aren't even really on the spectrum. I've got misophonia, which is like I can't be around people eating or like smacking their lips or like putting on lip gloss and weird things like that. I have like I'm very, very, very sensitive to things like noise and sound and touch and smells and like just all of those kinds of things. There's a lot more that is not
Yeah, I
just the
know, but I'm just
standard.
sat there thinking, listening to my dog like chomping his lips together at night, and it absolutely sends me through the roof. And I'm just like, and I can feel your pain because I'm just sat there going, stop it, stop it.
My husband, like I have to go to bed before my husband and I have to be asleep before him because if I'm not, there is a genuine chance that he may not wake up. Because he makes these sounds, right? They're like he's all I can imagine is it's like a lawnmower and a tractor having sex with each other.
Nice.
That's kind of what it sounds like. It's just like this weird, and it's not all the time. So he'll just like randomly do it, and then I'll be like, "Hello." But it is honestly the most horrific noise. If somebody sat next to me on a train and they're eating, not only is it the sound of them eating, the rustling of the crisp packet, all of these things, I just want to punch them in the face. The smells.
Oh,
Ugh.
I used to
So,
work with a guy that he used to, when he had a yogurt pot, he'd like properly like ding, 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 and it,
oh
and I'd be sat there
no.
be like, oh my God, it's
Uh,
empty, stop it. And it'd be
it's
just like, and I was just like, even now, I'm like, you used to sit there and just look at him going, have you got any idea?
slurping through a straw. I'm like, no.
Have you seen that new pot noodle advert?
No,
Makes me
but I don't
really,
want to.
I can't watch it. I'm like, the noise just goes right through me. It's like, it's
Oh.
horrible.
No, but the thing is, I mean, these are the sorts of things that people don't even think are part of neurodiversity. OCD,
Absolutely.
I mean, when we do our awareness courses, we
Mm.
talk about ADHD, autism, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, dyslexia, dysgraphia, Tourette's, but we don't talk about all the other little things that are around it. And I think actually that's something that we really should be
Mm.
talking about because one size doesn't fit all.
No, and I think people generalize, don't they? They just go, oh, everyone that's autistic has this, they behave like this. Everyone that has ADHD behaves like that. Whereas actually, there's so many different nuances about it that,
Yeah,
every single person, I mean, and quite rightly, whether you've got a condition or not, you should be treated as an individual person because you've all got your own little traits and things. But, it's about making sure that these people can feel that they can discuss that sort of thing, especially in the
exactly.
workplace.
Yeah. And they're not going to be penalized for
Mhm.
telling people that they're struggling as well.
I
I
think
think,
Go on. I was
go
gonna
on.
say I saw a report earlier and it was something about, have you told your employers about your condition, and like 55% said no.
And
And
that's
I'm like,
really sad.
it's shocking, isn't it? And you just sit there going, yeah, but that's because they don't want the repercussions. And you go, it shouldn't, that's not what you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. And I think it's when you're an employer and you have neurodivergent staff, it's
Mm,
all about playing to their strengths because,
massively.
you don't realize how, people who've got ADHD are often really creative. They are really good salespeople. They're really good people. They think
Mm,
outside the box. They have loads of ideas. And they're passionate about what they do.
yeah,
But the
absolutely.
employers just see lazy. And like you tell someone you've got ADHD and they're like, oh, well, that means she's going to be late every day. I mean, that is probably a true fact with me. And I was always, oh my God, when I was employed, I was always late for work. Only by like 1 or 2 minutes, but I was always late religiously. And I would leave on time and I'd think I was doing fine. I'd be late back for lunch, or I'd lose track of time, and I'd like be late for a meeting or do all these things. And it's
Mm.
like, that is something that, is a bit of a risk for people who are employing ADHDers. But when you have a fostering, inclusive environment, it almost doesn't matter. We're
I think
adults.
no, exactly. And I think it's very much moving away from that kind of I'm the employer, you're the employee, you shall do what I say. And
Yeah,
actually,
right.
I mean, I've got clients that just go, do you know what? These are the hours you're expected to work this week. I don't care when you do them. I don't care, work within your strengths. And actually, what you said about being late, it's like it would be about, you feeling safe enough to go, do you know what? I don't do it intentionally, but the employer going, okay, do you know what? She's still performing in her job. She's still doing everything. So let's work with her rather than penalising you
Absolutely.
and giving you a
Yeah.
different degree because you've been late 3 times when actually it's something that's out of your control.
So when I was in my last job, like, I struggled in every single job that I think I've ever had. I was a job hopper. I couldn't find
Mm.
the right place, that the right team fit. Like, everywhere, I just felt like a complete and utter outsider. And then I started my last job, and my last job was really difficult for the first year because I found out I was pregnant 6 weeks into the job.
Mm.
And I was so ill. I had the worst morning sickness, and I just felt horrific. And I was trying to learn a new job. Like, my brain fog was horrendous. Like, just all of it was just. And I found out later that it was because I was pregnant, and I also had an autoimmune disease,
Oh,
which,
bless you.
the two of those things together, I just felt like I was completely useless and I was an idiot. And like,
Mm.
why couldn't I learn the stuff? All of this stuff that I was learning was all written down, and I
Mm.
don't do well with written instruction at all. So, it's about learning what
Mm.
people, the ways that people
Learning
learn.
styles, isn't it?
It,
Everyone
it
learns
is,
differently. Yeah.
yeah. So I struggled for the first 6 months to a year of being there. I went off and had my baby, and when I came back, my attitude sucked. Like, I know it sucked. Like, but I was just like, I was so tired. I was
Yeah.
really struggling. My baby wasn't sleeping. Little did I know that he also had ADHD. So, that's also another reason why children don't sleep. So I was really struggling, and I had postpartum psychosis, which
Mm.
is like the worst mental health condition you can
Yeah.
have. I ended up having to take some time off work, and it was difficult.
Mm.
When I went back, my boss basically said to me, she was like, Maddy, you're struggling in your role. I've got your work coach. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, I saw it as, she thinks I'm really shit. She thinks that I
Yeah.
need somebody
Mm.
to tell me what to do. So I started with this work coach, and oh my God, he was amazing. He helped me to know what my strengths were. He helped me to understand my mindset and my motivation. And then they found me a new job within the department, which was change management manager.
Yeah. Mm.
So I was doing everything for this one company. Like, I was doing e-learning, I was doing training, I was doing employee benefits, I was doing onboarding
Mm.
instructions, I was doing like all the inductions for new staff. And I loved it because they
Yeah.
found all the things. Like, I'm pretty sure that they made that job up for me based on my strengths. But it saved my life because I then started to be more happy in the workplace, which meant that I got on with people better. They also said that I could work from home like 3 or 4 days a week.
Yeah.
So I'd come in the morning when I was most productive. I'd go home at lunchtime, have a nap, and then I'd start on my work in the afternoon. It would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I then went on to win awards for that company
Yeah.
because they found out what my strengths were. And I'm pretty sure that my manager knew that I had ADHD but didn't want to tell me.
No.
Obviously, this is the thing, we can't diagnose people.
No.
So, but can we help people if we suspect they've got ADHD? Sure. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
offering people support like a work coach, or,
Yeah.
and also, it's not common knowledge that people who have ADHD or autism or dyspraxia, dyscalculia, like any form of neurodivergent condition or mental health condition,
Yeah.
can
Mm.
actually apply for a pot of money from the government called Access to Work, which
Yeah.
helps to pay for things like job coaches. So,
Absolutely. And that's a real underutilized resource, I think, in the
oh,
work. people
It
just
really
don't
is. I mean, I did a
recognise
TikTok
it.
about it, and then they got
Yeah.
a massive backlog because I had so many people that went and applied for it, and I don't think they liked me very much, but they were probably
Like
like, "Oh, that goddamn
5 minutes
woman
talking about it again,
trying
telling
to
us
raise
about it.
awareness of this wonderful thing that we
And
do to
it is,
support
and I
people."
think, certainly for small businesses that maybe haven't got the budget to be able to go, actually, look, we want to do right by our staff, but we can't afford to do this, then they've got
Mm.
that as an option to be able to utilize. And it's just like,
Exactly,
I've got my
exactly, and
clients, some of my clients that, will take on people. They want to work with people that have got neurodiverse conditions, and they
exactly,
want to
yeah,
support them. They want to help them grow. And I'm just like, yes, you're absolutely like, and I love that, because it's, for me, it's like they're going in the same direction I am. And it's just like, it's amazing to see them and the benefit
yeah.
they get out of the staff. It's
I think
phenomenal.
I think a lot of them will go like, oh, I don't want to, it's not they don't want to, but they can't necessarily afford to make those
Mm,
reasonable adjustments. Like there
mm,
are so many things that you can do for free in terms of reasonable adjustments. But
yeah.
also, this is why when I work with a client, I sign a contract with them where I start straight away, and
Mm,
then I will invoice the client and they can put it through Access to Work, and then Access to Work pay me directly. So the client never actually pays for my services.
amazing. Yeah. Mm,
It works so much better as long as you have a contract in place. Because if you don't, sometimes they try and get out of it a little bit,
yeah.
and you're like, no. But there are so many ways that you can
Absolutely.
support people in your organization just by understanding,
Yeah.
like changing your communication style, changing your like the way that you conduct one-to-ones, and
Yeah, it is sometimes really small adjustments. I think with when people
yeah.
think about reasonable adjustments, they think it's going to cost them an absolute fortune, and it
But they're
doesn't.
reasonable, right? They're reasonable on both sides.
Depends which way you look at it, I suppose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like they don't have to cost the earth though.
No, they
There
don't.
are there are ways that people can
Mm.
but it's about understanding your workforce first.
Understanding that particular individual, because, like you say, every single one of them, every single person's different.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm.
So what should people be doing then if they've got neurodivergent workforces and they want to educate their team to make a better and more inclusive environment? What do we need to be doing?
Well, they need to be coming on our webinar, surely, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. So that I mean that segues very, very nicely into us talking about what we do. So
Yeah.
so Rach and I can come into your organization. We can deliver a 60-minute awareness webinar. It's really affordable. It's something which you can have like 40 odd people on, and we can come and talk to you about how to support those
Yeah.
in your organization. We
Mm.
tell you about all of the neurodivergent conditions so you understand what their strengths and weaknesses are, how you can support the people within your organization. And we can also come in then and do a follow-up, which is more focused around your team and the management, and helping you to understand
Mm.
the diversity within your organization. And that will save your organization so much money because you're not going to be losing people who don't want to work for you. And you're going to be supporting those people. So they're going to want to come in more to your job and actually focus on the job at hand, right?
Yeah. And actually, you'll see an increase in their productivity and everything like that. The morale will be higher. You look at time saving, because you won't get caught up in so many discussions about why things aren't working, because more things will be working because you'll be supporting them.
Exactly. And if you are neurodivergent or you think you're neurodivergent, then check out the link below this podcast. You can go and get my Access to Work guide completely free. And it will tell you the sort of things that you can get support with, and it will also show you how to apply for the process. Because I mean,
Mm.
the process of application is not a particularly fun one. And you can do this whether you're self-employed or in a job.
Mm.
If you're self-employed, I do coaching for self-employed neurodivergents, which is mainly focused around visibility, helping people to thrive and helping people to, and when I say visibility, it's not just about getting your business visible, it's about you having the
Mm.
confidence to show up and own your condition.
Absolutely.
Um, because we shouldn't be ashamed of having these neurodivergent conditions. There's a
No.
lot of stigma out there. ADHD isn't real, and autism is only for naughty little boys, and all these little
Yeah.
things. And they're not. None of them are true. And we hear them so much that we forget that actually there's been so much
Mhm.
scientific research about these conditions, and we can help people. It's
Absolutely.
important.
Yes.
So that's enough about that. Um, Rachel, tell me a bit about like how you can help people in your organizations with the HR stuff.
So I work with people on sort of various different ways, really. I mean, I've got clients that are on retainer, which is a bit like an insurance. You've got me in your back pocket for any sort of questions or anything like that that come up in the day-to-day running of your business, which is quite nice because it allows me to be quite proactive, but also allows me to sort of kind of understand the businesses a bit more. So I do that. I also work on project basis where I'll just go in and deal with a particular thing, whether that's recruitment, whether it's performance management, absence management, anything employee related. And I also do sort of pay as you go as well. So people just go, phone up and they just want a little bit of advice about something, or they want a letter or a policy or things like that. So it's very much dependent on what the company wants, I think, and that's
Yeah,
always, I will always try and work the way they want to work because I think that's really important. But yeah, I mean, my preferred approach is especially from a HR perspective, is definitely sort of retained basis, because it just means that I can have more of an impact and have that positive
and it's
approach.
good for your finances as well, isn't it?
Well,
We're not
yeah,
going to lie. Like
that's always a help.
it's always the goal.
Oh, I mean,
So
absolutely.
what's your next focus? What are you working on?
So again, sort of growing my sort of retained client basis, but also rolling out workshops, getting some workshops with yourself, hopefully doing also the neurodiversity. But I also run a workshop called Building Bridges, which is all around all the protected characteristics and how you can make your workplace more inclusive.
Nice.
I'm also an insights practitioner, so I love running workshops on that because it's
Oh
just about
yeah,
communication styles, and it's another tool that help reduces conflict in the workplace. And I think it has a benefit to allow people to understand each other better, so that again the company becomes more productive and more efficient. So yeah, they're kind of
amazing.
my goals.
I love that. And you're also working on like your business structure as well, doing courses and stuff like that as well. So that's really good. So we're going to be focusing on upping Rachel's money over the next
Yay!
year so that she can be really confident and go out there and be like, really, yeah, absolutely smash it.
Take my
So
daughter to New York because she keeps banging on about it. Uh,
have some goals. Yeah, it's always, do you know, it's really good. It's really good to have some money goals that you want to work
yeah,
towards because it gives you something that, isn't
yeah,
it's more of a focus than just I want to make
mhm,
more money. Why do you want
yeah,
to make more money?
yeah.
And that's really important to understand. So we
Yeah,
will
she
do
wants.
this. We'll do this because there are
Yeah,
so many people that need what we do right now.
I think so.
That I think we're gonna get lots of people interested in this because it is very important.
Yeah,
Even if
massively.
you've got two or three neurodivergent individuals, like you need to be supporting them, utilizing their skills, understanding what they're best at, so
Yeah,
that you can make their lives easier, but also make, help get them doing the job better and
yeah.
supporting you in your
Mm.
business so that it doesn't cost you more money when they leave. Mic drop, boom.
Mic drop.
Um, exactly. So get in contact with myself or Rachel if you want to book us to come in and deliver a seminar for your work. Um, Rachel, where can people find you?
On LinkedIn. I don't think there's many Rachel Weavens on there. So on LinkedIn or yeah, on any of the social media platforms.
Amazing.
Search my name.
Um, and also, please bear in mind as well, if you're an employer and you're listening to this, which hopefully we've brought you into our world for a good reason, you can also offer Mad About Money app to your employees completely free, which helps them with all of the things that are money related. We are aimed at neurodivergent people, but we are neuro inclusive, so we're never going to turn somebody away just because they don't have a condition or they don't feel like they fit into that box. We're not about that. We just help people to understand how to work their money from a neurodivergent perspective. So yeah, I'm Maddy. You can find me on TikTok, Mad About Money Official, or on LinkedIn, Maddy Alexander-Grout. And we will see you guys next time. Thanks for coming, Rach. Lovely to see you today.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.